GM, everyone, and welcome to the Modern Market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, and how to make some or a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have the crypto market recovering alongside with stocks and gold price also going up. BTC, ETH, Sol all up between 2 and 3%, and Hype definitely leading the charge up 7%. Second piece of headline, which we're going to get into, Aster flipping Tether in 24-hour fees, generating roughly $29 million of fees within a day. And the third headline being Plasma crossing $5.5 billion in TVL. While at the same time, the neobank Revolut is seeking a $75 billion dual stock listing. Also got the latest on price action, crypto and NFTs. Definitely will have something in terms of NFTs to talk today. Big news from that side as well. And I got Brett with me in the co-host seat. We're almost ready to get into it, but just before we do that, a quick reminder that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is extremely risky. We do not know anything for sure. So please do proceed with caution and do your own research. Brett, with that out of the way, it's a special episode. It's episode number 600 of the Modern Market. How are you feeling on this Green Monday?
It's kind of funny. Over the weekend, I didn't look at my per positions. I've had some longs open for a little bit that were bleeding, we'll say. And like this this is probably not a good trait that I have, where I'm just like, if I don't look at it, like I just won't care. Like I just like it. Like I should give a shit that like if I don't, top up a few $1,000s, I'm gonna lose like 20 grand. But like I'm just like, yeah, like you know what? If I just forget about it, it'll go away and then I won't have to think about it anymore and then it's over. But I'm happy to see this morning that most of those things actually are trending close to back to green. So I'm thankful for my luck, I guess I would say a little bit, because I topped up just enough. And I'm also thankful for the market recovery.
Something is going on with you, turning more and more degenerate. This is unexpected behavior. We went from no trading to a bit of trading to perps to let's just top up a bit and play the margin side on the riskier end. What is triggering that?
So no, this is actually the exact same trait that made me stop myself from doing perps. Is like I don't care enough to like baby them, monitor them. So like, yeah, I put the positions on, and it's the same thing that like lets me bag hold my stuff to zero, where I can see like my pups thing go to infinity and back, because like whatever, like it's not going to change my day-to-day stuff. So I don't know. It's all connected. Actually, is the problem. It's like I'm just not super motivated by money.
Yeah, that's fair enough. And on the stock side of things, you're still happy with your hood trade?
Yeah, actually, no, I haven't gone back over there and touched that up. But yeah, I've transitioned most of my stuff over to Hood from Coin. But I still have some leaps. Actually, they're not leaps anymore, but some call options that are on Coin for the end of the year. They've been in the money for a year plus now, so like I've been pretty chill with them. But yeah, I'm just chill. I think I'm mostly where I want to be for the next probably 6 months over there. Minus the Hype D stuff, I want to keep monitoring that because I know I put a decent portion of a rotation into that. And I think I mentioned, he's at Korean Blockchain Week and stuff this week, but the CEO of Hyped was willing to come on the show and talk to us a little bit. So we might have that opportunity once the conference season slows down a little bit. I'm excited to hear from him.
Yeah, very excited about that too.
I wonder if you got an NFT. I wonder if you got a hyper.
Probably would be.
Maybe
we'll see. No, I don't want to talk about NFT treasury companies.
How does that look on the balance sheet, you think? Like you have to call up everyone on the quarterly report and say we got a hyper NFT worth 50 grand, safely stocked away in the treasury, and
probably something like that. But that's the one thing that I thought more about. We talked about it last week. You had the news with the SEC starting to look into some of these stats and being a bit more like wary of them, which says quite a bit, because SEC is super crypto friendly. It has been super crypto friendly now. Well, for the last 9 months since Trump is back. So for them to like now have something where like this is actually going too far, that is a significant piece of news to me. But I reflected on it on the weekend, and I find it actually positive, because if we have this worry of, could the DATs like start to leverage at some point, which Vitalik said in one interview, And could this basically be the next like potential black swan event in a couple of years from now? And this is like being investigated early on when like most of the treasury companies are like still way too small, obviously with the exception of Tom Lee's stuff and Michael Saylor's strategy to matter. And we stop that behavior early on or investigate that. That's actually a very good sign to me.
Damn. Yeah, sorry. I was looking at Arsiv Ray in our internal chat talking about some yeah, just talking about people like missing stuff on the weekends and like not paying attention to anything on the weekend. I'm happy to see he's using Asana too. That's our productivity tool for inside of Mega ETH. And like I spent 48 hours of the last 48 hours optimizing in Asana instead of trading, which I probably should have done. Although one other thing I did spend time optimizing is I'm in a fantasy football league with a bunch of crypto people this year.
Nice.
And we have a fun twist that if your team does well, if you're the leading scorer of the week, the buy-in was like, I don't know, I went through in a couple $100. So the pot for the entire league is like $3,000 and no, $4,000. And the top scorer every week gets to shitcoin with the treasury. So like I scored the top 2 weeks ago, so I got to buy in a bunch of shit. And then I thought I was going to win this week or get the top score this week, but I got beat last second. So now someone else, I was planning to like have to deal with like a $5,000 treasury that we're swinging around, probably bridge it over to Plasma, get some trillions or something that Atari was just, or that Arsiv was just talking about. Yeah. And so it was a fun weekend.
Yeah, and we did a fair bit of perp dex archaeology as well. We had ARC, we had
Dude, it's been popping off, right? Like it's been a fun chat.
1,000% in a day. That was crazy chart to look at.
Yeah. Have you been doing the shit coining on Plasma? Like the
Plasma? I bought trillions. I did the ARC shit coining. I did trillions, but apart from that, I don't think. I mean, we're gonna get into Plasma in
wait, ARC?
AARK. It was originally a launch bomb airdrop for a perp dex on Arbitrum, which basically died down, and someone posted a thread and it got viral and I did like 30K.
Gotcha. I was thinking ARC, the circle L1.
No, you were thinking seriously. Yeah. No. None of that. Already enough of
did something else launch? Jesus Christ. I missed the entire chain.
Enough of the chit chat. We have to get into a quite fully packed show. So let's start as per usual with the price action, which I'm delighted to say is very green to look at. We have BTC at 112K, up 2.5%, ETH at 4.1K, up almost 3%, XRP up 2.8% as well, $2.85, BNB up 3.5%, back above $1,000 at 1,005, Solana up 3%. What is going on? Why can't I scroll? Up 3% at $206. And as I said at the top of the show, Hyperliquid is leading the charge, up almost 7% at $47. Just quickly checking in with Sui to see what that is doing. Sui is up as well, up 4% at 3.24.
What made you want to check Sui?
I feel like we kind of got into the habit of checking Sui all the time. And
you gotta see. Yeah, it's like our friend. She's outside the bubble. We're like, all right, we got to see how homie's doing. I get it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that. Yeah.
I got a shit ton of NFT. So I had the Claynosaurs from. So my bag over there has increased because of the Claynosaur stuff. So I have a bunch of Solana NFTs. They did a second drop, that whole thing on Sui. And I got a shit ton of free ones because I had a bunch of Claynosaurs. So like my bag has just progressively gotten bigger. So thank you for checking in on my stuff. I need to be on top of that.
See, you're more than welcome. Also checking in on the meme coin side of things. It's green, but not too green. Doge is up 1.5%. SHIB is up 0.8%. Pepe a bit more than 0.5%. Pengu up 2%. Everything is up, but nothing is really outstanding. Okay, Mog is up a bit more. That's up 9%. But apart from that, the one thing I wanted to point out, there it is Rebita Tibir by Virtuals, which is up another 16%.
Can you talk to me about this one? Give me a little breakdown. So this is Tibber, right? Okay. So I've seen the Blockmates dudes shilling this for a while, and I have some friends like the altcoinist dudes that were spent on the platform, and they've also shilled it pretty hard. And like saying that it has some actual fundamentals behind it. Can you do you know anything about this?
I looked into it. but I couldn't exactly. I forgot what it does, to be honest. I couldn't
All right, someone in
exactly.
the chats, yeah, okay. Someone either in the modern group chat or in our comments, if you know anything about Tibber, Tibbir, like I just want to like it makes it sound like it's not just a pure meme coin, but people think it's a meme coin. I want to understand it, and they're like, oh, it's like led by the guy who led the 700 million gajillion dollar thing and raised this capital from or whatever. So like, so it makes me feel like there's a guy behind it or people behind it that are awesome in TradFi, but are like just don't have a lot of shine here. So I want to understand what's going on. So if anyone knows.
Yeah, I mean, I could only make some. I see Funky with his hand up. Funky, do you have any more info for us on the Tibber side of things?
I don't know the fundamentals behind it, but I still mess around with virtual stuff a good bit. And like I remember reading a while back that, and this could have been just FUD, but people were saying it was just more of like a cult thing within, like a subsect within virtuals that were really into just the token. And like there was a point at which, and it probably is now more that worth than AI XBT, because a lot of people were rotating from that into that. And I don't know exactly what it does as an agent or anything else like that, but I remember kind of catching a bid a while ago if you look at the chart, and it just has continued to steadily kind of hold up well in many of these dumps and everything else. But I don't know exactly what the agent does, but I remember a lot of chatter about that in particular.
Fair enough. And yes, you're absolutely right. It has more than just flipped AI XBT. AI XBT is at somewhere at 9 cents and Tibber is at 26.
Hmm.
Doing well, doing all-time high numbers, doing quite impressive numbers, but we don't know exactly what it does. Probably should take a look into it. With that being said, in terms of the main headlines, moving on to that part, we have, as I said, the crypto market is recovering. Gold stocks are up. We're going to have a bit of a legendary market overview to see what's going on with other asset classes as well. We then will speak to Aster, absolutely dominating it in terms of fees, flipping Tether on the 24-hour fee generation. Also chat a bit about like the whole perpdex trade and kind of try to evaluate where we think it is. Obviously, we have Hyperliquid recovering massively. We have Lighter, the other perpdex, their farming season ending tomorrow, as it is the end
Jesus,
of.
already.
Yes, that is. They always planned for it to end in Q3. They weren't like too vocal about that, but I think the founder confirmed it in the Telegram. So this is going to be over tomorrow as well in terms of season one. And we had the perpdex archaeology going on over the weekend. So kind of have some thoughts on that. Curious to hear yours as well. And then definitely wanna talk Plasma. As I said, crossed 5.5 bill in TVL, and I kind of wanted to put it side by side with that Revolut news specifically, as Revolut, the UK-based neobank, is going for it. Where is exploring nowadays. You are exploring a token. You're exploring a stock listing. In their case, valued at 75 bill, and kind of see what we're making of that, and if we think that this is the narrative for that the neobank is the narrative which we see for Plasma. So this in terms of the main headlines. Going on to the NFTs, just getting a quick overview first, and then we get into the main one. We have Moonbirds up 3%, 3.1 ETH floor. We have Pudgy Penguins down a touch, still above a 10 ETH floor. Bored Apes, 9.14 ETH floor, down 0.5%. Doodles up 4.6%. Kaito Genesis NFT still going up as a result of that limitless sale that Aaron seems to want to get into, up another 9%, up 150% over the last
Hold
week.
on. What's our price? This might be a little selly time for old Ready Boy. What are we
You
looking
want
at here for Kaito?
1.47 ETH is the floor for your
That's
copy.
actually pretty good.
Yeah, it is.
That's a pretty good price. And this was around which airdrop for Kaito? Because I'd seen people bull posting
the limitless launchpad offering.
Yeah.
And basically what they said is your quite a few factors will, it's massively oversubscribed. Quite a few factors will determine how much you get. One of which being your Yaps, the other one being your staked Kaito, but also holding a Kaito Genesis NFT will be increasing your allocation apparently. And this is the main demand driver for that, I assume.
Okay. I don't know. Feels kind of dumpy for me. I have one.
I'm just going to keep it. I have a bit of Kaito staked. I have my apps. I have
Same.
this, and I think
Same.
there's going to be probably some interesting deals to be had on the launchpad, and I just don't care to get like one additional ETH out of that. If I had like 5 or
Okay.
so, well,
Fine, you convinced me. You're right. I don't need the one ETH. What am I doing? I just keep the thing. That's the same thing. I stake like the enough Kaido just so I stay on the board, right? Because they're doing some shaming shit. Like I just want to make sure that I'm on the board. You can see that I'm staked. This makes me question, or makes me remind me, because I've seen Serpin talking on the timeline a little bit more freely about a token, like just whatever, goofing around, which makes me reminds me of the validators. What are the validators doing right now? Because I bet they're going to have the same kind of pre-Kaido run up.
there's only 256 of them, right? Yeah. Let me get
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, it was a 101 drop, so it should be lower lick, which means like more violent whenever it actually does happen.
So they're doing nothing right now. 2 ETH floor price.
Yeah.
Top bid at 0.2 ETH on Blur. 7-day volume at 5.5 ETH. So basically 2 sold of those. I think you
Or
could
the
almost,
last sales.
you could almost, let me check that for you. You could almost throw in a lowball bid.
That's what I'm saying. You can go above 0.2 for sure. Put like an ETH out there, get a 50% discount.
See if someone wants to take that.
Yeah, take advantage of the low liquidity.
The other big NFT thing that I wanted to get into is, unsurprisingly, this beautiful collection, the Hyper NFTs, currently sitting at a 1,400 hype floor. That is 65K. That basically means flipping all the other collections except CryptoPunks out there. And what are some of the stats? 1.3 million in hype in terms of volume. 10% are listed. The lore behind that is that if you farmed the Hyperliquid airdrop, you could then choose: do you want to receive hype tokens? Do you want to get a hyper NFT? Do you want to get both? And another one sold. And basically, there's no utility to them. I think there was a disclaimer that at some point they might get something, but there's no plans for the NFTs. But obviously, people are speculating on them. On the one hand, as potential for another airdrop, potentially for boosting other airdrops on Hype EVM as well. And then because you mentioned SERP, I saw SERP bought, I think, 3 or 4 of them. He said he rotated parts of his Plasma profits into that. I quite like them, to be honest. I'm not going to do the thing, I like them. I like the art because it's expensive and this is the reason I want to buy. But I kind of like them at this price floor because obviously they have a very good distribution in terms of their unique holders, 86%, because they went into the hands of the top farmers who already made money on Hyperliquid. So you could make the argument that those are not necessarily people like looking for a quick buck, and they have Hyperliquid exposure. They should be the most aligned with.
Yeah.
The only thing that I don't like about that, obviously apart from the price point, is that for me, buying an NFT, again, is a taxable event as opposed to crypto swap. Like maybe I should wait for the first hyper NFT strategy and look into that token. I think they're quite interesting, to be honest.
I wonder. So that's interesting to me because like that means the tax classification has to be purely on the NFT standard, right? So the ERC 721, right? If you interact with a regular contract, then like, or an ERC 20 contract, then it changes your tax. So like you could effectively or kind of buy it at a premium. The same way that it's no different than the MNAV in Japan, where Bitcoin is taxed at 50%, where they're buying the other thing at a MNAV premium. So that makes me wonder, like, people will do that. The market is motivated to price that differently or to buy that thing up. I know we've had fractionalized NFTs in the past, but that was just like, so you could lower the actual like minimum buy to actually get exposure to an asset, right? Like you fractionalize it, you can buy 1/1,000,000th of a CryptoPunk, and therefore you get exposure to like the CryptoPunk that it holds. I wonder if there is a standard or project you could spin up with the sole purpose of representing or mirroring the price of the collection, just in a different contract standard, right? Like you just said, the Punkster stuff is something that you would buy as a exposure to the collection just because it's an ERC20, and you can effectively buy it at probably what, a 30% premium and still be like about equal based on the taxes you would see in your country. That all generates like, fees and like traction, volume, all that shit, attention. I wonder if there's like a construction you could spin up that would like just be a tax efficient way for people across the world to deploy into NFTs that mirrors it. That is not just like a fractionalization of like one, but like a representation of the entire collection.
Sort of an index, and not we had the 404 standard, right, which was fluidly swapped between ERC20 of that collection and then exchange that for an NFT, but that never got really popular. But I mean, essentially, it's probably a thing that's not present in many jurisdictions, but in the jurisdictions where it's present, as you said, people would want to pay a premium for that if that would be a way to save on taxes. I also see Funky with his hand up. Curious to hear your thoughts on our hyper NFT discussion, which deviated a bit into the tax side of things.
No, I love the look of them. Obviously, I do not have enough hype to go and get one, nor would I buy one, but I think that they're super cute. But I asked your buddy AIXBT, and there's a note in the chat about what exactly Tipper does, just FYI. And it is something to do with TradFi fintech infrastructure for AI.
Nice. I will definitely take a look after the show on that and see if it makes more sense then, or if we're just pumping up the next AI XPT, because I have no clue on this one. We got 3 headlines to get into, but before we do that, let's get the Web3 roundup out of the way. Where is it? There we go. We have some stablecoin stats to report on. USDC dominating, obviously, in terms of quarterly stablecoin flows at $46 billion. Swift partnering with Consensus to build a better blockchain settlement system. That's interesting from the banking side of things. We also have 16 crypto funds awaiting the final decision in October. So it's not only October, but it's also a relevant month for ETFs. And then one thing I want to touch a bit more on is this piece of research, really quick, from CoinDesk, which is looking at the stablecoin sector. Total market cap is up another 3.4% in September to $293 billion now. And that is now a 24-month consecutive growth streak, which I thought is quite impressive. And obviously, Tether's market share is still high up. Did go a bit down from 59%, 59.4 to 58.8%, but still absolutely dominating that field. And did want to bring some of these numbers up, given that we're going to talk about Plasma later in the show. Brett, anything else that stood out to you? Anything else that you want to comment on, or shall we get into the main headlines?
Did you touch on the Legion yield basis thing?
No, I didn't. Do you want to quickly say what's going on there?
Yeah. And sorry, I'm getting a little distracted by chat because they're keeping me on my P's and Q's. I was talking in group chat, and Atari reminded me that the giant bag of Claynosaurs that I have, that I mentioned earlier, haven't been staked, and I know they're having a token coming. So like, I want to make sure I'm staked to F position for that shit. So I've been trying to make sure I click the right links for that shit. Yeah, yield basis. So 2 things on that. One, so it was mentioned over the weekend. You brought it up, and I think someone else in our chat brought it up because you're participating. Yield basis is like a BTC lending yield trade thing with created by the Curve founder, right? It's the second project, or I don't know how many projects they had before Curve, but like it's an additional project from the Curve founder, and they're doing a raise through Legion. Legion is the ICO Echo-like platform that is taking place on Solana. And actually, it's cross-chain. I say have an Ethereum wallet whenever you do it. So we spent the weekend spinning up my wallet, or my profile on there. I had one created several months ago, but I hadn't like touched it in a long time, and I didn't do the accredited investor stuff and everything else. So I went through and tried to get my profile to the point where I could actually participate in the sale. But they're doing the public sale. You said today. I don't have the terms off the top of my head, but I do know that it is something that I would like to at least be able to vet. Do you have the terms handy?
Yes. So the sale is not today. The application opens today for the
So I have a
quick
chance.
part on Legion, which on Legion you have a scoring system which depends on your X, on your dev contributions, on your on-chain activity. It's also happening on Kraken for the public sale part, and the public sale is also going to be on Legion. Maybe just adding, you said it's by Michael Egorov, the Curve founder, and in his article, he claims to have solved the impermanent loss issue. It's something I wanted to look a bit more into. I did over the weekend. But in terms of the valuation, 200 mil FTV, TGE is going to be in October. I think it's going to be fully, 100% the TGE. And the target on Legion is, I think, 5 mil or so, which they're gunning for. And I don't know how much they are trying to get on Kraken, on the Kraken launch pit as well. But I do think that the tickets are soft capped at 25K is what I saw on the timeline for the Legion sale.
Yeah, I would like to at least be able to vet it. So like, I don't even know if they're going to offer it to me, or like what the terms are specifically for the U.S. residents. If they make me do the 1 year lockup like they do everything else, we'll see. But I definitely want to be able to I'm trying to avoid another Plasma outcome. I feel like just the clout of the guy alone is worth making it, reviewing it for me. And yeah, so I'm trying to just not be lazy here.
Yeah, I mean, Curve is still trading at what, a bit more than a bill, and I think 1 point something, 1.1, 1.2 bill market cap, 1.6 bill FTV. Question is, I need to look more into this impermanent loss part, which I think if you find a solution for that, that's obviously a massive problem, but that's also something that's going to be deeply, deeply mathematical, and that I'll need a fair bit of time to understand what's going on there. But my thinking rather was also that TGs in October, it's fully liquid. So downside, if it's the next thing that the Curve found and it goes down to 100 mil or so, it's not going to go to zero immediately, is my thinking.
Right.
So
Right.
I think EV wise, it's an interesting bet to look at. So good that you brought that up as well. Look, let's get into the main headlines. First of which is a bit of a market roundup. We said crypto's up. We said at the start of the show that we have most majors up between 2 and 3%, and hype leading the chart, leading the race with 7%. However, gold also had a beautiful day, marking another all-time high, climbing significantly above 3.8K. It's at $3,824 for 1 ounce of gold. That is up $65. That is up almost 2%. Silver also climbing, by the way. Silver is also up 2%, but that puts gold at 8% over the last 30 days and at 42% over the last year. It's like pretty impressive performance.
This is what I'm going to do. So I've been trying to sell my condo for a fucking year. I'm promising this to my future self, and I want you guys to hold me accountable for it. Whenever I sell that fucking thing, I'm going to yeet all of the money after taxes, of course, on chain, because why not? I'm an on-chain citizen. My money belongs on chain. And I'm going to open up a fucking 3x, maybe 5x long on gold with all that. And I'm just going to let it sit, because that thing is melting up and I do not see it changing. I've been kind of noodling on this idea for the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks now. Why wouldn't you just throw a low levy long on, I think it was a PAUX, I think is what or PAUG, whatever the Tether gold iteration is, but it's on a few of these perps platforms. And why would you just throw a low leverage long on that? Gold is gonna just melt up over the next 6 months, year, 2 years, right? We're having the entire global economy shift from US debt to just gold again, right? You're basically front running China in acquiring gold. Everything, what was I gotta find the site where people are looking it up, but showing the buys and the entities that are buying it. And it's basically all the governments are upping their allocation of gold across the board. Like China, I think Switzerland was really big on it. There's I think is it India also is just disproportionately buying a shit ton of gold. So as the global economy tries to get away from US assets or just assets broadly and back into stuff like gold, bro, why not just ride the wave with a decent portion of your portfolio, the safety portion?
Do you know what my gold play is? Was searching that on screen while you were talking. It is on
Physicals.
Yes, physicals.
Oh yeah,
Obviously,
you mentioned this. Yeah.
physicals for the main part because that's tax-free for me if I sell it after a year. But on Plasma, you have it's the third for those people watching us on screen. Third line from the bottom. Provide liquidity to Uniswap V3 XAUT0, which is Tether's version of gold USDT0. So basically, set up this pool, and then you are DCAing out of gold as it goes up. But it's currently incentivized with a 34% APY, earning that as a liquidity provider in Plasma tokens. Obviously, going to run out this week, but I would assume that they didn't build this opportunity page just for a week, and then it's not gonna exist anymore. So I do think that some of these will be extended. But that's one of the gold plays that I find interesting at the moment to be an LP in this pool and farm a bit of Plasma on top of it.
So this will bridge us into the Plasma conversation a little bit. So we saw some FUD over this weekend. One of the things that I won't say it's FUD, but like is something that we should note is the amount of emissions the Plasma chain has to incentivize these pools. Like if you look at the actual emission rate, like if you like quantify it in dollar terms, I've saw anywhere between 600 and 1.2 billion, 600 million and 1.2 billion dollars of emissions to incentivize these pools. That's why the APYs are insane. They're just like juicing them with XPL emissions, which like duh, like we all knew that to a degree, but like I don't think anyone had like holistically calculated how much are actually being emitted and like what that means for XPL, the token. Right now, that's all sell pressure effectively. Like I know Neobank, everyone's bullish today. That won't be the case whenever no one's talking about the thing in 2 months, right? Whenever like it'll just be emissions that people can just dump into the market and take the next play. That's just like interesting because like our attention spans is very, very short. So I think it is worth noting that things look great today. It probably is positive EV. It is positive EV to like get in there and get some of these while the emissions are low. But after a few months of this, that is a shit ton of tokens that have been emitted into the market for these incentives. And the people that are doing it, like you, are clearly incentivized by the money. I don't know that you are someone who are like, you're not doing it out of the love of your heart. I'll say that. What are you going to do with those XPLs that like are emitted to you? You said like every 3 hours you were getting the last ones?
Yeah, every couple of hours you get them biomerically. You can claim them biomerically. Yeah.
Are you stacking and staking, like throwing them in the pools, or what's your plan?
Right now I am selling half of that and LPing all of the
So
rewards.
you sell half, and then that creates an LP for you, and then you put it in.
Yeah, exactly. Which is also basically the thinking that it's going to go up and going to see out of that. Yeah. So it's also selling, but like in an indirect way.
Yeah. You're selling half to then try to farm more, to get more to then sell half to like keep the circle going. So like that's what I mean. So like the option is that, or people are like like if someone is doing the farming, they're not just going to hold on to all of it, right? Because unless you're doing a single sided LP, which I don't know, I don't even know if those are offered over there. But I don't know, just worth considering. I want to call it out because like that's a shit ton of things that are emitted and that will have price impacts. And the thing is already high float, low FTV, or low float, high FTV construction need to have awareness.
Yeah, let's then stick on the Plasma topic. Let's also quickly bring up this TVL chart from DeFi Llama, which you mentioned. It's up another 13% over the last 24 hours, 5.5 billion into that. Also got a lot of money into the Aave markets as well. Currently, if you just deposit your USDT into the Plasma lending vault, into the Plasma vault, you get 20% return on that. And then on top of that, as you said, you have all of these opportunities, which we'll see how they will extend them next week. So the thinking then there becomes you will have Plasma One as a product, which is this credit card, where again 10% plus yield depending on whatever tier you're in, plus up to 4% in cashback. My thinking here, if you look at how all the other crypto credit cards work, which have a tiered system like that, basically means you need to own a certain amount of that token. That is what crypto.com did to be in the highest tier. In terms of Nexo, for example, the way Nexo does it, they look at your total balance. So if you hold 10 mil on your Nexo, then you need to hold 10% in the Nexo token to be eligible for the highest cashbacks, yields, etc. If you hold 10K, you also need to hold 10%, but which is obviously only 1K then. So they do that on a relative basis. And I think that someone from the Plasma team was posting something along the lines, wait until they see the connection between XPL and Plasma One. So I will highly assume that this is probably the next step. But nonetheless, there's going to be sell pressure, and it's going to increase with that. And I wonder what the play here is. Is it to become the next Revolut, to become the next neobank with that? And speaking about that, just to put some numbers into perspective, let me quickly get this article up on screen, which is coming via CoinDesk, and it's Revolut weighing a $75 billion dual listing in London and New York. So on the one hand, it also would be the first company, if they do that, to simultaneously list in New York and enter the FTSE 100. Again, it is a London-based fintech company. It's a neobank. It's actually one of my main banks that I'm using. 65 million users. I don't think it's as popular in the States, but I do think it exists there.
No.
And it is one of Europe's most valuable startups, unsurprisingly, as a result of that. They seek to be valued at around $75 billion. Again, of these 65 million users, 12 million of them are in the UK. They did raise a total of 3.77 billion since launch. Last raise was at $1 billion. I was $1 billion at a $65 billion valuation. So this is probably the big number to look up to on the one hand, if you believe this is the neobanking play. On the other hand, the big number is obviously Tether's valuation, and they are raising at 500 bill. But then again, as much as I like my Plasma bags, and I'm bullish on that, if I take the other side of the argument, we have a ton of neobanks out there. We have a ton of crypto credit cards out there. No crypto cards so far. I mean, Nexo survived. Kudos to them, and I'm using them as well, and they're doing apparently pretty great, and the token isn't doing bad either. But no crypto credit card has like a chart that is up only and is becoming
EtherFi is doing well, right? Isn't EtherFi been getting decent adoption? But that's another like neobank, right? It's like no one has stolen the tagline as well as Plasma. I'll say Plasma is really leaning into it. But
EtherFi get up on screen, up 40% over the month, $1.50. That is a $780 million market cap, $1.5 billion FTV. It's still
so talking about their card itself. Like I remember their adoption was actually. I'm gonna see if I can find it. You can keep going about it.
Let me in the meantime look for like all of these, like even Nexo. I mean, yes, obviously it's up all time 550%, but it had an all time high at $3.9, currently trading at 1.2, up 18% over the year. So all these tokens, like if you have a user base, they will like stabilize and hold a certain value, but it's definitely not a up only play. And I'm curious to see what. I mean, no token, right?
Yeah, sorry. Like as you're talking about this, like I didn't realize how many cards there actually are that like and then it reminds me that I've actually been seeing a lot of threads recently of like people that are like, these are all the crypto cards that I have been using. And even myself, like I tried Pay, the PAYY, which is like the ZK one that is like totally hide your assets. So you can actually like use it and not like have everyone scope your wallets on chain. And then EtherFi is one that I just sent you the chart that's up and to the right with the volume and daily active users. I mean, it's still in like, if you look at the active new cards, it's sitting around, what is that? Active is like 20 grand daily. No, 5,000 daily. So like, okay, not crazy. Okay. And then, now this one, so it's, it's actually, it's not as exciting as I had, kind of initially gave it credit for. I guess it's owed to the marketing. Right? The marketing made it seem like, oh my God, these guys are so, for like, on the Vanguard, like they're thinking about this, but like, no, we've had a shit ton of cards recently. I just didn't even I haven't really like ingested it.
We do, yeah. I mean, I'm using 6 different
all
ones.
Crypto cards.
All crypto cards Jesus. Specifically, and then even Revolut allows you to purchase crypto. Vivid, which is a German startup, they have cashback in crypto pockets as well, so you can spend to cashback in crypto. A lot of like the quote unquote classical neobanks also have adopted some sort of like crypto rails as well. I saw someone on the timeline also making the point. I'm not going to find this tweet, so I'm just going to kind of quote it from the top of my dome, that the playbook there is that Tether will have more trust than, say, a crypto.com or a Nexa, and then it's just competing with regular banking deposits at 10% plus yield. But then also the question becomes, how sustainable can you offer a 10% plus yield? Obviously, that is outperforming the stock market, essentially, so that is extremely attractive. In a bear market, you probably get like 5-6% yield, but 10% plus, and even if you just have that for a higher staker, but you have it all the time, that is pretty expensive.
Do they tell you what the source is, or is it just emissions?
I don't know. I mean, you can see on the one hand, there's Lending Vault. The next vault that they have announced is going to be the base trade, capturing Ethena, et cetera, as base trade as well. So there's probably going to be multiple sources to keep that up. But then it becomes so significant. If it becomes so significant, and that's like the thing where I worry about, this will become the most used credit card, and that's not a playbook that Tether necessarily can like that much, because they are like quite happy to capture their 10-year US Treasury yield on however many stablecoins they are holding. So having this pressure then to keep everyone happy by having a super high yield going, I don't know if this has a certain success cap, so to speak, when it becomes too big in relationship to Tether. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know we weren't going to turn this into a FUD, a Plasma FUD section. We're just going to talk about stuff, but like, you know, you're kind of giving me a Plasma FUD section, brother.
I mean, I have a massive Plasma exposure, so I think it's kind of worthwhile to think about that.
I actually don't. So like, it's, you know, it's whatever. I know, like I did the tweet. There was a FUD thread, an attempted FUD thread came out, as opposed to just like talking about the thing, where they're talking about like, oh my God, the Paymasters actually swaps the USDT for Plasma on the or for XPL on the back end, which is like, yeah, that's literally just like what that is supposed to do. That's how you enable that functionality where you can pay with just a stable coin. It has to swap for the gas token. Like it literally has to be paid. So like that is not FUD in any regard. So it's funny to see that kind of stuff come out.
One more question on Plasma, then I would quite like to get into the last headline to do a bit of a like perp dex roundup. You've seen Trillions. You mentioned Trillions. We talked about Trillions in the Modern Market Telegram chat as well. Do you think that a chain that is like so focused on stablecoin yield plus a banking or plus a credit card product has the space for other things on it as well, whether that's memes, meme launch pads, NFTs? Trillions is the one that I kind of like understand, because it's literally the tagline that they use under every single post. So it's trillions. But do you think that this is an environment for like all the other things that we see happening on L2s?
So I thought about this whenever it initially launched, where I was like, they are leaning very, very heavily into the thing that they're trying to serve, which is being the you know, distributing stables to emerging markets, owning some DeFi stuff. But like I didn't see a ton of energy into like the cultural side of things. Like they're starting to get a little bit more like the Trillions, and like obviously there's money to be made, and where there's money to be made, there will be meme coins and everything else. It is a general purpose chain. I have some questions about like the technical construction, or like I think people will try to exploit the free USDT transfers in creative ways that will fuck up the chain.
Really?
I'm curious to see. I mean, like, so like this is just a broad thing, and like maybe I asked the team specific, like, what's your spam prevention thing? Like, this is the balance all chains have to have, right? The lower the cost of transactions, the higher the likelihood that you get spammed, that people will fill that gap with whatever they need to get in first, to do whatever they need to do, right? So Plasma's construction is they allow for free USDT transfers, right? That's the thing. It's free. If I send $10 of USDT, I get $10 of USDT. There's no gas, there's no whatever. It sends it. So because this is a Turing complete smart contract environment, right? You can code whatever you want, whatever logic you want. There's two things that will happen. One, if I'm just a malicious person, like I just want to like bring down the chain, like fill its capacity, which is 1,000 TPS roughly, I think is what they said, then like I can just say do 1,000 per second USDT transfers, because the cost to me to do that is zero. If I'm a malicious actor, I can do that stuff to try to fill up blocks, take advantage of the chain. Now I think they have some like rate limiting on the USDT transfers, so that like it won't fill up a block and spam it, so where the chain can't do anything else and lock them down for a period. That's likely what they do. So there's that. Okay, but then there's also like the second order effects of, if I'm building a NFT platform, and I know that my NFT costs X dollars to transfer from one position to another, or the value of it is Y, I can maybe potentially tap into the USDT lane by like liquidate the NFT, swap it over to USDT, transfer the USDT, buy it back for myself, maybe even on the other side, so that I get a free transfer of the thing that like does or whatever. I don't know. Like, I'm just saying that, like,
Yeah.
am I back?
Yeah.
How weird. I muted my computer just muted me. Anyways, so I'm just saying that like they will get incredibly, okay, my camera died too. What the hell? The developers get,
we can hear you.
okay, cool. Yeah, but anyways, just developers get incredibly creative, and they will use every single little advantage that you give them in order to make a more efficient thing for themselves, even if it is a 0.0002% gain on their shit. It does not matter. It makes them more money than they would have had otherwise. Therefore, they will do it. That is just what I've learned in this ecosystem. Like, they will find every single edge you give them. So I cannot look at that construction and say that won't happen. Like, it's going to happen. I'm curious who's going to do it and when.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point. And also see Funky A reacting to that, and B with his hand up. So Funky, what are your thoughts on our Plasma discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I think Brad made my point in the sense that I was surprised to see a meme coin like Trillions pop up. I don't think it fits the overall brand and ethos and everything else of what they're trying to accomplish. So, but now we're starting to see, like in the chat over the weekend, people were talking about some other one, Mascot or something like that. So like, things are starting to happen, I think, because it's the permissionless nature of these things, and it is an EVM blockchain, right? So it's super easy. People are really familiar with all the contract architecture and whatnot. So I wouldn't be surprised to see more, but at the same time, I don't know, like, I don't think it really fits, if you will, for what their brand really is.
Yeah, I agree. Branding wise, I don't think it is a good fit, and I don't see them leaning too heavily into this cultural arc. And if you, I don't know, even look at a chain like Mega ETH, where you have the Mega Mafia and all the things that the team is doing to try to highlight their builders. And Brad likes to speak about the Fed app thesis, saying that the apps are ultimately more important on the chain than the infrastructure behind it. That's a completely different environment. So I would agree with that I don't think it is a good fit from the narrative or whatever side of things. We only got a few minutes left in the show. Brett, do you want to take us into the last headline and speak a bit about what's going on with Aster and the 29 million fees which they made in the last 24 hours?
Yeah, that's insane. So I mean, like you just called it out there. So Aster, the perp dex that has taken on Hyperliquid recently, famously from the BNB camp and pumped by CZ himself, has flipped Tether in 24-hour fees. What was it, 29 billion to 28 billion? I think you have the numbers here. Yeah, it's insane. And like, that's just the headline itself. A lot of this is on the back of the incentives program that they were running. They did like a 2-week stint of a season 2, I believe it was, that they were basically just giving away $700 something million worth of tokens to top placers. Now, the thing to note here is it's not that Aster is a better product and that Aster is the thing that is like taking the world by storm and everyone loves the thing, and like, oh, there's such a unsatiable demand for this platform that they're spending $29 million. No, this is effectively an arbitrage, and people are pricing the liquid token through the fees that they're paying on the market, where everyone could sit here and look at it. The top people who are trying to place on this platform are saying, look, if I spend $10 million in fees, but I stand to gain $25 million in tokens. That is plus EV for me. And they are doing the math on the back up to the value of the token that is being emitted. Again, it's a 2-week sprint. So we knew this was coming. We talked about it last week that it was going to be an insane little run up. Now, and it's like, so yeah, it was going to be an insane little run up for this thing. And that's what it effectively is. So you're going to continue to see this for a little bit up to and through, maybe through the incentive drop off if they announce another season. But I would guess people are probably going to kill themselves for this and then be over it because it's so intensive and so crowded of a farm for these 2 weeks that I bet once this stops, you will also see this drop off precipitously and then it goes back to normal. So good for a short-term trade. Do not get married to this. It is not because the product is so great that the world has never seen anything this amazing and therefore is willing to pay $30 million in a 24-hour period.
Very, very good summary. 2 more points on that. One of which is coming from Aster's account on X, where you can see that they keep adjusting how the scoring works. They now have increased the holding time score with a 10x multiplier for this final epoch of the Genesis stage 2. That means the longer you hold a position, the higher the open interest is for the trades, the more points you will earn. So you try your best to predict farming. This is an opportunity, but the rules obviously are changing on the go. And for me, this one is one that I skip farming because, as you said, the numbers are like so absurd that you would literally need to do billions in volume, and that's something you probably most certainly want to hedge across other platforms as well. And doing that manually without a trading bot is a lot of fun, and I'm currently focused on other things. However, the other thing that I wanted to bring up, which is to do with this post, which I'm sharing on screen now, from Mando, and Mando was saying, my 2 cents from speaking to people in Korea, because we had KBW, Korea Blockchain Week, and now we have Token 2049 in Singapore. Aster feels like something CZ is going to keep pushing. Someone was pushing back in the comments saying, still pushing. It's almost a $20 to $25 billion valuation. Mando said, I'm just saying, I think he's very close to this. Everything about this sounds intentional. Well, that is obviously the big question with it, like how close is CZ to it? How willing is he to keep talking about Aster, and how close is that whole thing to the entire Binance ecosystem and to YZ Labs, the family office's position? So that's probably another layer to speculate on. But I'm a bit reluctant to enter this trade at this point, to be honest. Brett, what are your final thoughts on that?
I mean, I saw CZ join the Alex space over the weekend. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
Remember the fucking lizard, the dude, that Alex? He went and grifted the fucking doginal things for like, I don't know, a season or 2. And then now he's coming back and he's fully rebranded. He's running like 6 spaces in a row that are 24/7 Aster. And I guess we see this time and time again. Jesse did the same thing, right? Jesse from Base, where like there's us people who are familiar with like the spaces circle and the different people who run in this ring and understand that like Mario Nawfal and Alex and these few other people are just not generally perceived well for a multitude of reasons, at least within our circle. And then these people who are on a different social circle, different social layer, they don't do spaces often. They come in and they immediately go into these spaces that don't reflect well on them. They don't realize they're talking to grifters. They're talking to people who just have done unsavory shit. But he did over the weekend. CZ went on and talked to Alex and the rest of the crew for whatever reason. I think he may have even followed Alex, which is ridiculous. So like he's clearly motivated to talk about, participate, whatever this thing. So whether or not it's a trade from here, I don't know, man. Like it's like an ancient Bitcoin whale thesis for me right now. Where it's really hard to track and to know whether it will translate into actual money to the thing. That's what the ordinals did for the longest time. Right? It's like, oh, the capital will unlock from all the ancient Bitcoin whales, and they will come, and they will buy all the ordinals bag, and they have gone to zero, right? All like unanimously gone to zero. So feels the same vibe. But yeah, CZ being the one with the actual, he is the whale and he is the one talking, and there's a little more signal there, I would say. What the upper bounds of that is, hard for me to say.
Yeah, I think that's a very, very fair summary, and let's leave it at that and wrap the show for the day. Brad, thank you so much for hosting the 600th episode of the Modern Market with me. Thank you, Funky, for joining us on stage as well. Thanks to everyone in the audience for spending your precious, precious time with us. We will upload, as per usual, this episode to Spotify, to Apple Music. We'll have clips going out on YouTube. And we're going to be back tomorrow, same place, same time at 7 a.m. Eastern Time in the morning. In the meantime, have a good rest of your Monday and see you tomorrow.